Hello, everyone. My name is Kim Hayworth from the Facebook page Good News Daily and from the website to come, goodnewsdaily.info. And today I'd like to chat a little bit about seasons and how the seasons in nature can easily reflect the seasons in our own lives. And we're at the end of spring, so I'd like to start there. And the season of spring can be a time of renewal. It can be when we start to see budding of the things that have been planted previously, where we start to see the beauty come to fruition of those things that have been planted maybe a prior year or maybe in the fall. And in Chinese medicine and Ayurvedic medicine, they take into consideration nature and our connection with the earth and these different seasons. And in traditional Chinese medicine, they look at spring as the element of wood and as it connects to the liver. And the liver can hold unprocessed anger. So you can see anger start to come to the surface, even more so than other seasons typically. And if that has been processed and healed, then possibly patience could be the fruition of that. And then as we start to go into summer, it's a season of growth. Starting to see some of the evidence and results of things maybe that had been planted that spring or maybe a prior season. Or maybe you are planting seeds in the spring for things you'd like to see a little bit later on in that year. And in Chinese medicine, it's the element of fire, and it represents our heart and love and hate. And joy can also be an emotion that comes up during that time. And in traditional Chinese medicine, they also look as late summer as a separate season. Perhaps additional heat and additional growth. And that reflects the spleen and earth as the element. And worry and empathy can also come up a lot during that time. And we can also look at it as a bonus season of growth. And in the fall is a time of harvest and perhaps planting things for the following year, but usually a time of harvest and a storing up of all the things that have come to fruition. And late fall can be a time of letting go as the trees let go of all of their leaves. It just shows us how beautiful it is to let go of the old to make room for the new. And in traditional Chinese medicine, it's the symbol of metal, and it reflects our lungs. And oftentimes unprocessed grief and sorrow and loss are held in the lungs. And that could be a time where a lot of that may come to the surface. And in winter, we think of it as a time of perhaps isolation, of dormancy, of hibernation for even some animals. And sometimes, underneath that layer of frost, there can even be growth in the roots of some plants during winter time. So even when it looks like everything is frozen and dead and not there, that's not true. There's still a lot going on under the surface. So in your own life, if that's what it looks like, know that there's still some things changing, some things perhaps even growing and moving and catching up to where the rest of you is headed towards. When I was doing some research, I found it interesting that there's 5 different species of frogs in North America that create their own antifreeze, that they can actually become completely frozen for a long period of time, but yet it doesn't cause any permanent harm to them. And they're still living underneath all of that. And so my question to you is, what is your own antifreeze when times get tough and it doesn't seem like anything is moving, anything is changing, things are difficult? What can you tap into to become your own antifreeze? Maybe it's joy. Maybe it's unconditional love and compassion. Maybe it's the divine. Maybe it's time to connect to something like hope. And in Chinese medicine, it's also the element of water, and that reflects in kidneys and also fear. And if it's processed, courage. Those things can come up a lot during the winter seasons. So know that no matter what season may be reflecting the seasons in your own life right now, that it's just a process, that it's not forever, and that it will change. And there's a verse in the Bible that says, to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under heaven. And it's also a song. So know that there's a benefit for what you're going through, and that you're not alone, that you are connected, that you are sourced, that you are taken care of, and that all is well. I hope this has been a benefit to you today. I hope and pray that you are seeing the fruition and the growth and the benefit of things that you have planted the seeds for. Take care. I'll talk to you soon.